Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing? My name is HolyNiwa, and welcome to your long-awaited lunar astrological forecast for the new moon in Aries. Today is Sunday, April 15th, and since we're going to be talking about a little bit about the Mayan calendar as well from here on out, I want to give you guys both dates. So, based on the Gregorian calendar, it is Sunday, April 15th, 2018, and based on the Mayan calendar, it is Dali Day 12 of the planetary dog moon, also known as Kin 67 Blue Lunar Hand. Now that is a bit of a long thing to say, so honestly we could just probably say Kin 67 Blue Lunar Hand and you'll be fine. Now, why am I doing this? Well, based on my guides, I'm being pushed to learn and eventually teach the Mayan calendar. So this is something that my own guides have now instructed me is important and imperative to me for me to learn and essentially share with you all. So just as a custom thing, we're just going to be talking about what day it is so that you guys can kind of keep track of what's going on. If you guys don't quite get it, don't worry about it. Like I said, I'm going to help you guys through it little by little. You may have also noticed that my Discord link is gone from the description below. We are going through remodeling. I feel like I'm saying that for the second time now. But this time I'm really truly making a space dedicated for light workers, truth seekers, whether that means that you're an astrologer, a tarot oracle reader, a spiritualist, a intuitive, a medium, whatever it is. I want to create a place in which would be inviting of people of different schools to come and kind of share their experiences, or be a part of a greater community that may not just necessarily be Twitter, because let's be honest, we like Twitter, but sometimes we would like that more engaging communications. So I'm in the middle of rebuilding a much more light-based community that is more welcome and accepting of different schools. But with that all said, let's get to this very drawn out review. Now, if I sound a little bit slow, it's because I had some delicious dinner recently. So my belly is a little bit full. And when I mean dinner, I mean like at freaking 5:30 a.m. So yeah, that's not necessarily dinner, but it was a heavy meal for me. So let's jump into this, as DeFranco would say, because this is some crazy thing, and for some reason this is not. There we go. Thank you. I don't know what that was about. That was not censored properly. So what's going on, right? This is the long-awaited new moon, right? We've been talking about how Aries season began, right? Earlier this, actually late last month on March 20th, I want to say, Aries season began. It was the new astrological year. Everything was supposed to start off right. Let's go ahead and do things. New beginnings, new this, new that, right? And what happened? Mercury went retrograde several days later. Not to mention, right before starting the new astrological year, we also had the new moon at the end degrees of Pisces. So even though we were starting off the new calendar year, we were very close in the new moon of Pisces. Now I'm saying, if we would have gone into Aries season with the full moon cycle, I would have been like, hey, you guys know that whatever you did in Pisces, you're gonna reap from it in Aries. But no, we literally started the year off with the new moon in Pisces. And then Mercury went retrograde. And that was just a double whammy, in my opinion. I feel like we literally got told, hey, I know you guys are really impatient and you guys are really ready to start off this new year, but before you go out there and you start doing your things, I want you to take one last second to really get your shit straight before you go out there and start doing the things that you need to be doing. And it was like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's the new astrological year. Stop holding me back. Let me go already. I want to move forward. but we weren't allowed to. There were things that we needed to take care of that hadn't been resolved yet, and hopefully by now they have, and I'll be telling you guys a couple reasons as to why a lot of things kind of are going on, how they went on about, and what should we expect, not only from the next month that follows, of course, from now into the new moon in Taurus, but also for the rest of this year. Because again, you have to remember, this is the new moon in Aries. So Aries is going to set the stage for the rest of the year. Taurus might be the inspirational one, but Aries is the prototype. Aries is the beta version. Aries is the one who fleshes out all of the bugs before it actually goes live. So again, Aries here is setting the example for others to follow. And that's what we're going to really be discussing. So, you know, first things first, we need to talk about the fact that Mercury went direct hours before this new moon. Now, I told you guys before that we had the new moon in Pisces, and within less than a week, boom, Mercury retrograded, and it retrograded through the entirety of the Aries season. Because, like, look at this, we're up to 26 degrees, and it just went direct, which means that this whole entire starting season, we literally started off on the wrong foot, because we started the season off with a Mercury retrograde. And again, if you're not aware of what Mercury retrograde, right, does, you need to remember two things. What does Mercury rule? It rules thought process. It rules the way that we take in information and throw it back out, our communications with other people, how other people are receiving our information. It also rules things like technology, gadgets, devices, not necessarily the people of the internet, but the actual access to the internet, transportation, local areas, local environment, those people that are close to you, including siblings. So, you know, Mercury rules a huge aspect of things right now, and it's been very interesting that, again, we haven't been able to really set things right because Mercury has been retrograding, and retrograding in Aries means that Mercury is not going to think a whole lot, and it's going to act a lot more than it should. Because again, what is the archetype for Aries? It's a very much act first, think later. It doesn't necessarily take its time to plan out everything. Unlike the masterminds of Libra on the other side, you know, Aries is very much the all bronze and no brains. And because of that, having Mercury in Aries means that for the last 3 weeks, we have not necessarily been acting accordingly. But instead, what does the higher vibrations of Aries represent? True authenticity of the self, right? Who we are at our core is then built upon by the rest of the zodiac. And as such, having Mercury retrograde in Aries meant that we were really taking a look internally of who we are, who we were, and who we wanted to be. Because again, these are our thoughts. This is the way that we think about ourselves. This is the way that we think, we communicate with other people. This is the way that other people are going to understand our message. And as such, we had to take our time to really develop who we were, what our message should be, and is it reflective of who we are. Now, interestingly enough, Mercury is going to be conjunct Chiron here at the end of Pisces, as Mercury now goes direct into its shadow period. And what this lets me know is that we essentially were trying to address a lot of the distortions within us. Because Chiron represents the distortions within us, things that are not perfect. Things that are flawed. And here, you know, we had a really hard time coming to grips with a lot of our pains, our suffering, and putting them to rest. Mercury here was very much addressing issues of the self as well as issues with our higher self. So the mind, body, spirit experience had to really be fleshed out, had to really be set right, if you will. Let me ask you, within the last maybe 48 hours, have you felt a shift in consciousness? Have you felt like all of a sudden you kind of like found this direction that you needed to be going in, or that you kind of like click into something that just made a whole lot of sense that perhaps you were neglecting, or, you know, maybe something that you overlooked for a long time, and all of a sudden it was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense now. You know, as we come out of this Mercury retrograde, we come out of it with newfound knowledge, newfound ways of thinking, a more progressive and authentic way of expressing ourselves and what that means to us. And as such, Mercury here is trying to address the distortions in our connection with spirit. As well as the darker things inside of us that we've wanted to essentially put under the rug and not really address. So now that Mercury is direct, now we have our new moon. And of course, without a shadow of a doubt, our new moon is going to be in Aries, as we've been talking about, the authentic self. This is the higher vibration we want to move into. I said this before and I'll say it again, especially because I talked about it during the Mercury retrograde video, which was all about learning about who you are and who you want to be and who you ought to be, right? This new moon in Aries is allowing us to essentially become a new us, especially because it's conjunct Uranus. This is going to be a spark of inspiration, a genius eureka moment that's going to allow us to be able to truly express who we authentically are. You know, if you're Aries, either moon, rising, or ascendant, it's time to really be yourself. And this doesn't just apply to Aries, because of course there are 2nd through 12th house Aries out there that should also be listening. So if you don't have your Aries as one of those primary signs, but you still have it through one of the other signs, which everyone does, this also applies to you. Now, the reason why I'm calling out the 3 major signs here is because you are essentially sponsored by Aries. So this is your natural energy, whether it's your ascendant, the way that you conduce yourself, interact with the world, or behave, whether it's your sun, which is how you want to be, what you desire in this life, or whether it be your moon, like myself, which is something that we innately are and need to be, right? This is us becoming more authentic with the world. Do not fall to the low vibrations and low functioning of anger, because Aries can rule anger. It can rule ownership. It can rule, essentially separating itself from everyone without a probable cause. It's very easy for Aries to say, oh, fuck, I don't want to be with you then. I'll just go do this alone. And then after a while, they realize, I didn't really want to be alone. So, here, Aries is pretty much telling you to be authentic, be true, but don't also, fall to your more aggressive tendencies that we often tend to have. This is literally about being yourself and being an example for the rest of the zodiac of how we ought to be conducing ourselves, how we should be expressing ourselves, how we should be projecting ourselves to the greater community. Not projecting ourselves on other people, but projecting ourselves so that other people may see it. This is our calling, if you will. This is our duty at this moment, having this conjunction with Uranus. Now, there's more to it than that. And of course, we will try to get into as many aspects as I can. I have some notes over here, but it really is quite a lot that is going into this new moon that we have to try to dissect. And the first thing I really want to talk about in regards to this is what I'm dubbing as the Capricorn Stellium. And it's kind of funny that I mention it and call it as such, because many people of my generation, which would be somewhere between 85 to 95, but more specifically the 88 to 90, early 91, we're known as the Capricorn Stellium, and we are part of the Pluto in Scorpio generation. Now, it's kind of funny because Pluto is part of this Capricorn Stellium, as well as Saturn in Capricorn, while Jupiter happens to be in Scorpio. This is really big, but there's more to it than that with just this Capricorn Stellium here, right? You know, we've been really talking about and trying to nail the point down for several days now of the importance of these signs here and how our actions are going to be reflective of the things that we've learned, as well as the transformations that we're trying to bring. You know, Mars is action, Pluto is transformation, death and rebirth, and Saturn is essentially learning the hard lessons of life, as well as being full of integrity, which is something really important to note, because Saturn is making a square with Mercury. And what did I say earlier about Mercury in Aries? It's about being ourselves. It's about being who we're meant to be, right? And with this square to Saturn and Capricorn, this is literally us being told to act with integrity. And of course, if we're acting with integrity, that means we're acting authentic. And if we're being authentic, it means that we're being integral. So again, this is a massive lesson here of taking in the qualities of integrity and authenticity into the actions that will lead us to the transformations that we are trying to put out. This is going to be a very, not necessarily a stressful position for Mars, but more of an elevated position for Mars, especially as Mars is going to be sextiling Neptune, meaning that we are moving into our ideals. The way that we want to act are essentially the ways that we have our ideals in, right? So for example, let's say little boy watches Power Rangers. Little boy now wants to be a hero and courageous and a superhero like a Power Ranger, right? This is him acting out in a very Neptunian way. He wants to act like his ideals, like his role models, like the things that he really, really is passionate about. And Mars sextiling Neptune here is asking us to really consider the actions that we're taking and whether they are fit for us or not, whether they are aligned with our ideals or not, because that's going to be important in displaying our integrity and our authenticity to the world. Once again, our experience, our mind, body, and spirit complex experience in this reality is all about self-improving, removing the distortions in our existence, and being able to elevate ourselves into a higher being. So our actions here are going to be very important in regards to how we are able to elevate ourselves into a higher frequency. Now again, Mars is making a number of rather interesting aspects that aren't just the Capricorn Stellium and Neptune. Mars will also be sextiling Jupiter, and Jupiter in itself has a number of implications as well. Jupiter has been retrograding for close to a month now or so, or at least sure it feels like it. You know, Jupiter has been going backwards for quite a bit now, and Jupiter retrograde has been all about reevaluating our consciousness. That's like the best way that I like to describe it, because Jupiter, being being Sagittarian, rules things like faith, belief, optimism, you know, essentially your ability, your can-do ability. And as such, being sextiling retrograding Mars, it's more of a, are you confident about the things you are doing? Are you confident of the actions you're going to be taking? Do you have faith in your own actions? That's going to be a very difficult thing. Now, this isn't a harsh aspect because it's only a sextile, which is great, but it means that it has to be activated by our own conscious mind. We need to have confidence in our actions. We need to have faith in our actions. Our actions can be very expansive. Sextiling Jupiter, whatever Jupiter has an aspect to, tends to magnify it. So, sextiling Mars here can really indicate that Mars will have a huge, important, notable role to play in what's to come. And your actions can either bring great fortune or great chaos. Again, acting with integrity and acting with authenticity and acting towards your ideals are going to be vital in being able to bring success towards your goal, essentially being able to bring success to you. And it's not always going to be the easiest thing. Now, of course, we have been having this whole Jupiter trine Neptune for quite some time now, and this is some beautiful stuff. The reason Jupiter trining Neptune has been so good is because this is almost like God showing us the way and telling us to have faith in what we do. And of course, when I say God, I'm more talking about our spirit guides, our protective deities, our higher self. I'm not talking about the Israeli God or the Hebrew God or anything like that. If anything else, I'd be talking about the source creator. But again, that's another topic. If you would like to discuss that, I do have a mythos talk I need to do on that. However, digressing, this is divine, not necessarily intervention, but divine optimism. This is having faith in higher powers to guide us where we need and want to go. Because sometimes maybe what you need isn't what you want, or what you want may not be what you need. But, involving the actions that we're going to be taking, making sextiles to both Jupiter and Neptune while the two of them are trining, is essentially having two massively positive charged deities leading us to the path that we need to go on, and knowing that if we ever stray off the path, there will always be someone on either side to always put us back on path. This is very, very important for us to really be able to move forward. This is why Jupiter is almost telling us to have blind faith. Now, obviously, I wouldn't say blind faith because, that sounds a little bit awkward. But it's telling us to have faith in our actions. It's telling us to be more optimistic about the things that we are moving forward with or going forward to. Because we are being guided. We aren't being directed, but we are being guided and protected, which I think is more important. So very, very, very amazing. And once again, as I said, with this Mars conjunct Pluto, which both of them rule Scorpio, may I add, and both of them are making an aspect to Jupiter in Scorpio, may I add. So these are very scorpionic energies. Now, of course, Mars does rule Aries as well, which is why it makes all of this so much more important, right? Mars needs to act both with integrity and with authenticity, moving forward and having faith with what it's going to be doing, knowing that their actions will have a profound transformations that will challenge the test of time. This is our new beginning. This is why everything is happening as it's, constructed in this way, because there's so much that's going on to essentially start our new beginning. And there's a lot of focus here on addressing old issues, learning from mistakes, and really being able to push forward. It isn't a coincidence that Mercury decided to retrograde as soon as the Aries season began. This was fated. This was literally Mercury saying it's time to learn from your mistakes, because Mercury is in Aries. It's time to learn from your mistakes so that you can move forward with the right momentum, with the right step. And that's what's going on here, because Saturn is going to be squaring Mercury. What does this mean? This is telling you to take things slowly. Take things slowly. Don't die back there, no, don't rush forward. Don't act before thinking things through. Mercury already did that once and it retrograded to learn its lesson. Now it's telling you, okay, did you learn from your mistake? I hope you did. Let's take it one step at a time. It's okay. You don't need to rush this. You don't need to go at sprint pace when we're running a marathon, right? It's telling you to go at the pace that is most conducive and productive for you. This is the second time now that Mercury will be aspecting Saturn in regards to a retrograde. If you guys remember, in December, Mercury was at the 29th degree of Sagittarius, conjuncting Saturn at the galactic center of Sagittarius, and at the last degree it retrograded. On the last degree, it did not walk into Capricorn without retrograding first. It went over Saturn, retrograded over Saturn, and then met Saturn at the doorway as it entered Capricorn. Saturn in Capricorn being the gatekeeper of Mercury, the lower mind of the third dimensional beings, being us, and making sure that our karma was being worked out and hashed out. Now, once again, Mercury retrograding over Saturn coming down was a check on us whether we had been working on our karma or not. And now, as Mercury goes direct over Saturn, Saturn is actually going to be retrograding when Mercury goes over it. Saturn is going to retrograde on the 17th. Speaking of the 17th, we also have Chiron, who's going to be ingressing into Aries on the 17th. There's a lot of importance on this particular day. And it's just pretty much telling us, hey, take your time, be patient. There's going to be a lot of things that you've learned about yourself. There's a lot of things that you need to apply to yourself so that you can improve who you are at a core level. Chiron's going to move into Aries. This is going to bring out the personal distortions that are causing us to not allow to be authentic. And Mercury already knows all of this because it's been conjunct Chiron, several times now, and still is at this point. Chiron's going to show us where we are not acting with authenticity, where we are not acting our true selves, where we sometimes let our anger get the best of us. Hashtag Aries moon out there. Also, by the way, just a side note, I do want to let you guys know, for transparency's sake, this whole new moon right here is taking place on top of my moon, literally only a minute away. My natal moon is 26 degrees with 1 minute. So this is going to be a big activation for me. Just saying. Wanted to throw that out there. Crazy, I know. So, this is a lot that's going on out there. Dealing with this new moon. Now we have a couple of other aspects that we want to touch on as well. I'm trying to skim over my notes here to make sure that I'm not missing out anything, because it is quite a bit. We've had Venus now coming back home for quite some time now. Obviously she is now at the 19th degree, and Taurus is one of the natal signs that Venus rules. Venus in Taurus has really been highlighting within us that we have a desire for stability. Now, I'm not saying desire as much as the sun, but we really, how do I say this? Stability is something that makes us feel safe, makes us feel comfortable, makes us feel secure, makes us feel great, right? When you have money, you feel nice, right? You know how y'all feel when it's Friday or the 15th or the 31st or the 1st or whatever, and you get your paycheck. How do you feel? Fucking amazing, right? Or whenever you're able to cash out that Twitch money, how do you feel? Fucking amazing. Venus here has really been teaching us about those Tauran qualities. Not always necessarily money or finances, but also stability and self-worth. While we have this whole new moon going on in Aries and teaching us about authenticity, about going after ideals, about being integral, Venus is also reminding us to place worth on us. When someone disrespects you, usually you got that one guy who's like, hey, nah, you gonna put some respect on that name. That's what's going on with Venus here. Venus is, putting a highlight on you guys that there is a need, a desire for self-worth as we act with integrity, with authenticity, going towards our desires. Because this is what's going to bring us that stability. Now, Venus is trining Mars, and it has been for several days now. It already kind of went over it. But this trine is still going on. This is us taking actions that are going to make us feel more stable. That's going to bring us more self-worth. It's going to make us feel really great about ourselves. It's going to make us feel like we've, essentially are in a very good position, not necessarily financial, but when you're in a good financial situation, you feel real good, right? And same thing with self-worth. When you feel good about yourself, when you have when you're how do I say this? When your perception of your own worth is pretty high, you feel confident about who you are, about what you're able to do. And so Venus is reminding us that as we move forward, this is an important thing to keep in mind. And if anyone dares to respect you, to turn right around and go, oh, hold it. I ain't gonna let you, smear me, talk shit about me, try to make me look bad and shit. You better calm the fuck down and go put some respect on that name. That is what Venus here is trying to do. in concert with the rest of the aspects and signs that we have going on. And now this is going to take a lot of confidence. And this is going to take a lot of courage. This is going to take us, it's going to require us to really come out and be like, I can do this. I can do this. I have faith in my ability to achieve this. I have the confidence that I am able to essentially make this happen, make this a reality. Because you are worth it and you can do things, but you need to have the right mindset. You can't have that negativity. You can't have that, I can't do this and I can't do that. I'm not as good as them. That I'm not good like that. Like, no. Nah, sugar. You can. You can. And Jupiter is reminding you to have faith in your actions, to have faith that you're able to get to where you want to be, that your actions can expand upon what you have right now and truly be able to attain that luxury that you seek, to attain that self-worth that you seek, to attain that stability that you seek. That's what the concert of these signs are doing. That's what's going on here. That's what they want us to realize moving into this new moon, moving into this new astrological year. And now that we're finally over a lot of those delays, a lot of those slow times, a lot of that dragging on and stuff, we're finally able to begin this. We've ended cycles. And as soon as that Chiron shifts into Aries, those cycles, those Piscean cycles are going to come to a halt. They're going to stop. And the reason I say a halt and not a conclusion is because Chiron will be retrograding back into Pisces at the end of this year. But for now, they're going to be put on hold. And that means that Neptune will be freed to channel its full power, because Chiron will not be in Pisces for several months. While Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, is at the critical 15 degrees, without Chiron in it, it will be absolutely freed to unleash its full might. And what is that might? Well, we've already been talking about it. We talked about, Neptune or the divines are leading you forward. They're showing you the way. They're trying to get you to act upon your own accords. They want you to be pursuing your ideals. Neptune rules Pisces. Pisces rules boundless creativity. It does not matter if your ideals is a fucking turtle in space. If that's what you want to go after, if that's what you want to be, if that's what you want to pursue, Neptune is telling you to be fucking boundless with your creativity and go after what it is that you have idealized. And being at the 15 degrees, it's at the very center point of Pisces, meaning that it's not leaning to neither Aquarius or Aries. It's pure Piscean Neptunian creativity like we haven't seen in many, I don't think my generation has actually seen it at all. And I haven't actually looked back to the previous years to see if any of the previous generations have seen it either. But this is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And the only thing that's sharing space with this sign right now is Juno, which is commitment. Essentially committing to your creative ideals. This is beautiful. I really don't have many words to describe this aside from beautiful. But the question is, are you going to do it? Are you going to go after it? Are you going to use your limited resources to be able to make the impossible possible? You know, having an aspect to Uranus like this is a strike of lightning bolt genius. Having Neptune here is essentially telling us to be creative. If there was ever a moment to make waifus a reality, now would be the time. Now, obviously, that's a big, huge example there. But, you know, that is my example of, well, like, let's take this as a metaphorical example. Back in the early 20th century, people wanted, I guess it would be 19th century, you know, people wanted to fly. People wanted, you know, to be able to fly like birds, essentially. Humanity for thousands of years thought that was never possible, that we can never get close to the skies and the clouds because that was the kingdom of a so-called god. Yet at the end of the 19th century, we created the first flying planes. We did it. We accomplished it. We soared the skies. And now in the 21st century, planes are a freaking everyday occurrences. There are countless planes that leave and arrive into airports in a single hour, let alone in a single day. If someone hasn't gone flying yet, it's probably because of their financial circumstances, or maybe they're afraid of heights or something. But you can't say, oh, it's impossible, we can't ever be in the sky, that won't happen. We've been to fucking the moon. I'm sorry, the earth is not flat. We've been to the moon. You gonna tell me that we can't fly across the sky? Yeah, okay, maybe we don't have wings on our back, but we can get on a plane and fly. This is the beauty that is Neptune and Uranus working in concert, of being able to take things that were science fiction, that were fiction, that were essentially tall tales, and make them a fucking reality. That's what we can do. That's what we can do. But, you know, that's something that the universe is kind of pushing us towards. Now, I do have a couple aspects that I will draw here so that you guys are kind of aware of what I'm talking about. And if you've seen these because you've been following along with our daily forecasts, then congratulations. For those of you that may just be joining us because you saw the new moon, then allow me to show you guys that we have been having a yod for the last several days. This is a yod that involves Ceres, Athena, and Saturn. This is about us truly coming together in the experience that we want to be a part of. Earlier this year, we had Ceres and Leo retrograding, squaring Athena in the hell were we with square? Venus, Taurus. This was a difficult time. Because Athena squaring Taurus was us trying to find stability in our life and being courageous and being able to come out and inspire in what we find to be stability, what we find to be of worth, what we redefined as luxury. And now with Athena in Gemini, we are sharing those findings with our fellow men and women, our brothers and sisters, our parents, whoever. We're sharing that with others. Athena here is telling us to be active in our communication with others. It's telling us about that, to put more emphasis on the lower mind, on the third dimensional people. that there is something here that needs to be addressed, that needs to be protected. And in my eyes, what I kind of think of this is protecting the civilians from war, essentially. Because for two reasons. One, many of the people right now that are very old, that are leading this nation down to ruin, are people who were born in Pluto in Leo generation. Now, if your parents are roughly in their 60s, they're probably Pluto in Virgo. But if they're like 70s, heck, no, other way around, excuse me. If they're in their 50s, they're probably Pluto in Libra. If they're in their 60s, closer to 70s, they're Pluto Libra. And, you know, it's somewhere between Pluto Libra and Pluto Cancer, these two signs here, that, you know, they just want endless war. They just want war, 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 and war. They're trying to destroy our image of inspiration, of caring, and endangering innocent lives. So Athena here, being the goddess of both wisdom and protection, holding the Aegis shield, is telling us to, you know, spread knowledge to our fellow, not just countrymen, but, you know, people that we are close with, people that we are kind of local with, if you will. And I do mean that in a more figurative sense than a literal one, you know, people that we consider to be close to. And protect them against this Pluto Leo generation, but also teach them that there are things that we will need to go through, that we need to learn to be able to progress forward. And Maya's still dying back there. You know, both of these signs are making a yod towards Saturn in Capricorn. This is them funneling their energy towards Saturn. And as I said before, Saturn is in conjunct, essentially, with Pluto by exchange through Mars. So there's a lot of energy here of learning from our actions, learning that our actions do have consequences, that they are transformative, that we can change things for the worse or we can change things for the better. This is us trying to educate the older generation and have them realize that they do have an impact on life still, and that they need to be more mindful and more responsible with how they decide to exercise that power. You know, and also this is a good lesson for us. Yes, we're still young, we think we rule the world, but unfortunately fortunately the older generation is still with us and still does have a massive amount of influence, and we need to acknowledge and recognize that, and we have the skills and actions to be able to make the difference here and improve our lives and the lives of others around us. So, as I said, this new moon is going to be very impactful. It's going to be very big. It's setting new starts. For the most part, the astrological calendar for 2017 was very much a year of awakening. A lot of people kind of awoke to spirituality, and with Jupiter going in these critical degrees of Scorpio, there's definitely going to be more awakenings to happen yet, because Jupiter is going to be conjunct the Pluto and Scorpio generation. So our generation is going to wake the fuck up and exercise their divine power to fix and correct the distortions created by the previous generations, which Libra is trying not to upset balances, and Virgo kind of just really fucked up. Sorry, Pluto Virgos, you messed up. But it's not too late to join in on our concert, our fight, our ascension, if you will, to be able to overcome the damages that the Pluto, Leo, Pluto, Cancer are causing. So that is something that is currently underway, and every day we begin to see more and more examples of that in our mainstream and sometimes even independent media. Well, actually the other way around, right? In our independent media and sometimes in the mainstream as well. And it's quite an interesting time. It's quite an interesting time, especially as Athena is going to be aspecting the nodes, right? This is the time in which we know that we need to deal with divisive energy. Having the South Node in Aquarius is telling us to not fall to the divisive, low functioning energies of Aquarius, which is being divided, being mindless zombies, if you will, because Aquarius is co-ruled by Saturn, which sometimes can bring a hindrance to our inner intelligence, our genius, our knowledge, and instead make us sheeples, make us divide us into things like Republicans and Democrats, or liberals and conservatives, right? This alienation, this polarizing divide is what Athena is having us address. But we need to be moving towards the North Node. We need to be able to come out, to be an inspiration, to be the voice of reason, to lead the people in the right direction. Don't let them go on as mindless masses, but instead correct them, educate them, inspire them, show them the way. Bringing back the Ugandan meme of show me the way. Literally, that's what's going on. We are showing people the correct direction of where to go in life. And with this new moon, with this new era that we live in, moving into this higher frequency, the low vibrations of the old are essentially fighting tooth and nail so that things don't change. But I'm sorry, the only thing constant in life is change. And having this new moon on top of Uranus is the epiphany of change, especially once Uranus goes into Taurus and breaks the stability and foundations of the old that need to be crumbled and are coming down. That is what's going on, and I'm making the prediction now that this next astrological year, till the next March 20th, we're going to see radical changes. Maybe not immediately, but definitely progressively. And as we move into 2020, we're going to just see massive reforms, massive changes. Things are not going to stay as they are, especially with a Uranus new moon like this. This is the epiphany of new beginnings that are not easily predictable, because Uranus rules unpredictability. We're moving into uncharted territory. This is Christopher Columbus thinking that he was coming to India and instead came to America. This is something that you cannot foresee, but you're sailing towards it regardless. And once you're there, then you're going to become aware of it all. And you're going to be like, oh, holy crap, this is happening. Oh, I'm in the middle of this. Grabbing my shovel or rifle or whatever it is, because we in this now. This could be war, but maybe not. This could be civil war, or maybe not. This could be just a fundamental cultural shift on a very massive scale, or maybe not. Again, the potential energy is here, but it's your free will in deciding how you're going to act. No one can do this for you. No one can pressure you to do this for you. If you want to take the steps forward to be able to enlighten others, that's your prerogative. The energy is here to be able to do it. It's your choice. It's your actions. Are you going to have faith in your actions? Are you going to believe and be optimistic about what you're able to accomplish? Or are you instead going to say, no, I can't do that, and instead just let another day pass that you don't get closer to your goals? You know, Mars and Capricorn here is definitely working hard towards its goals. Capricorn loves nothing more than working and showing results. Are you going to show those results? Are you going to be able to make the cut? So, I know this is a rather extended episode. It is a rather important new moon. And I just wanted you all to really kind of know exactly what it is that we're moving into here. I think I kind of covered all the topics that I had down written in my notes. So again, I would just recommend if you want to listen to this again for a second time to really kind of understand all of the different concepts, because I did bounce a little bit kind of everywhere. Being an Aries moon, I'm not very good at staying on task. So yeah, I mean, this is it. This is our start. This is the starting line. Yesterday we were taking a good night rest, and now this morning we're going in. Welcome to the new age, because it's about to start. With that said, I do appreciate your guys' support. Definitely appreciate your guys' viewership, and I see that yesterday's episode was not updated. It should update the button soon. I wouldn't worry too much about yesterday's episodes, and don't worry, we do have some new extra content coming up soon with the ingress of Chiron and the retrogrades that we will be having. So stay tuned to the numerous amounts of extra credit that we're going to be getting. And for now, just, really focus on this new moon. Make some new moon water and stuff. Do whatever it is you got to do, whether it is synchronizing yourself with the new moon or not. And I see that the Discord icon, I did not fix this ending screen. God dang it. It's Aries, right? We always make a couple mistakes here and there. Just really focus in on this new moon, because it's really big, really powerful, and it's gonna set the tone for for the year, really. Kind of that's how I want to describe it. So yeah, if you guys liked this new moon reading, hey, if you're new to the channel, hey, consider giving us a subscribe. We're definitely out here on the task of not exposing, but how do I say this? Giving exposure to what's going on in the energies of the universe at any given day, and trying to give you guys the best recommendations of how to be able to go along with your daily activities. So with that said, as usual, guys, stay safe, stay positive, make sure you hit the bell icon for your notifications at 9 a.m. every day, and I will be catching you guys on tomorrow's daily forecast. Peace.